The opinions expressed in the following program are not necessarily those of Eastlink TV, its sponsors, or partners.
Hi there, I'm Gloria McCluskey. You're watching Destination Dartmouth. My destination today is out here at beautiful Lake Banook with all the paddling clubs, and my guest is Andrew Russell, General Manager of the Atlantic Division of CanoeKayak Canada. Thanks so much for being here, Andrew. It's a beautiful day out here in beautiful Lake Banook and beautiful Dartmouth.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Gloria.
And I've wanted to come out here and talk about this for all last year during my term doing shows, but I'm finally here this year. Andrew, you're the new General Manager of the Atlantic CanoeKayak Division.
Yeah.
I didn't get that right, but...
Yeah, no, it's I'm the general manager for the Atlantic Division for CanoeKayak Canada.
Yeah, that's great.
And I'm also leading some of our major events, including the World Championships.
We've got very exciting things coming here to the lake, Andrew, and we'll touch on them right now and probably get back to them later. We have the Pan American this fall.
Yeah.
We have the Indigenous in 2020.
Yeah.
And of course, the World's coming back in 2022.
Yeah.
So isn't that exciting?
It's amazing. I think we've never had this kind of 5-year window in terms of major events in the history.
And Andrew, paddlers, from what I remember hearing them say, they love coming here.
Yeah. We've been fortunate with the weather a few times with the last couple of championships, but it's different than a lot of courses because our lake is centered right in the city versus being an hour outside the city.
Yes.
It's a beautiful setting. Yeah.
I know when I went to Moscow, you had to take a bus to get out to where the race course was. And here we're so close to facilities, you know, for paddlers coming. They don't have a long distance. They used to walk. I'd see them walking from the Holiday Inn and over here at the hotel. And it's just wonderful. We're going to leave that for a minute, Andrew. I'm just going to talk about do you have any idea how many paddlers we have here this year?
We have roughly 2,000 paddlers in the division as a whole, and you know, probably a good percentage from these clubs on Lake Banook as well would be you know, a big piece of that pie for sure.
Three great clubs here in the lake, the
Wonderful
Micmacs,
clubs.
Zenobia, and Banook, and just imagine how many kids have enjoyed these facilities over the years and how many wonderful paddlers we've produced.
Yeah.
You know, Commonwealth, World, and Olympics. And I have to go back to speak a minute about Chris Hook. Did you ever meet Chris Hook?
I think we've crossed paths. I certainly know the story of
Chris Hook, 1968 Olympics, and came 9th.
Yeah.
And he was a canoeist, is it? Or
he was a canoeist. He raced C1, and if I'm not mistaken,
C1
was leading at the halfway point.
Same year, he won the 1,000 and 10,000 meter races. And he used to train over here in the cove with his father.
Really?
His father would be down here training him. You know, for him to do so wonderful when we didn't have the coaches we have now and all that. And you never hear very much about him. But he became one of Dartmouth's finest. He was on our police force. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So over the years, Andrew, you were a great paddler also, and you were in the Olympics.
I was, yeah.
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 So we've had a lot of success here in the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And are you still paddling?
I still get out for fun from time to time. I do a bunch of different stuff. I'm still obviously a huge fan, and like you said, we've had so many great paddlers through here. I remember growing up and idolizing the Steve Gileses of the world,
Yes.
and Richard Daltons, Mike Scarolas, and we've had such a history.
I remember all those guys.
Yeah, of course.
I've always been a big paddling fan, and my kids paddled here, and then my grandkids, Hannah and Patty Vaughn, and it's a wonderful spot. And not only, if they don't become great paddlers, it's the social part of it, and the swimming, and what a great facility.
Yeah.
This is. I referred to it as HRMs, one of their recreation centers.
Yeah, you know what, we're so incredibly lucky to have
Although
what we have
HRM
here.
has never done very much for the lake or for the clubs, but anyway. So, so Andrew, now you as general manager, what does that involve really?
So a couple things. My main focus is on some of our strategic projects. So a big part of my role involves the major events you outlined. So we're hosting the Pan American Championships in mid-September. That's a big event, and you'll see some of the world's best paddlers from the Americas, and it's a qualifier for the Pan Am Games. So I would oversee that event with the help of our volunteer chairs. And in North American Indigenous Games, NAG in 2020, that's a big part of it. Nationals in 2021, and the Worlds in 2022. And then as a division, I also support a lot of the different projects, like building up the marketing and the understanding of our different clubs, helping build in events that can support our membership, and just trying to really push forward a really great, healthy product, I guess, in sport.
And the clubs all have to work together, of course.
Yeah.
And they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how many volunteers do you need now for, let's say, just the Pan American?
Yeah, so we have two different chair groups, one technical that's very focused on the actual running of the race, and an overall chair group that's focused on the overall holistic event. But in addition, I'd say there's about 60 to 70 total volunteers that will be on site for those 4 or 5 days running the event. Yeah.
Will they all be local?
Yeah, mostly. We've actually, like you said about Halifax and Dartmouth being so great, we've had some volunteer requests from out of town as well, which is
Good.
always wonderful to see. Yeah.
That's great.
People
yeah.
want to come here.
Great.
Yeah.
So how many paddlers do you expect to have in the Pan American?
So we're expecting between 16 and 20 countries,
Oh,
and
my.
that'll probably be around between 250 and 350 total paddlers, and then coaching staff and such on top.
So we won't be setting up a tent village again, will we, over at Birch Cove?
Well, our plan is involve all three clubs really closely, and we'll be doing some tenting along here beside Banook Canoe Club and close to our center here, and then we'll also have Banook bays for all the different countries, to have their boats. Yeah.
So who arranges for places for them to stay?
So
Are you involved in that too?
Yeah. I'm involved with pretty much every aspect of
Everything is
it.
taken.
Yeah. So we've worked closely with a bunch of the hotels around the Dartmouth side, and so we have 5 different ones that we've worked out blocks to help with stays.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So that's coming up in September. And how many days is that, Andrew?
It's a 4-day regatta, but basically the lake is booked from the Monday to Sunday. We're having a CanoeKayak development
yes.
camp, a couple days leading into it.
And that's so great too.
It's really great to see. We've had a bunch of trailblazers from this division that have been really focused on para, and we're going to try and double down on some of those efforts.
And the Para's been going on for a few years now.
Yeah, actually, 2009 when we last hosted the Senior World Championships was the first year for both para and women's canoe.
Well, we have to take a break, Andrew. You're watching Destination Dartmouth. My guest is Andrew Russell, General Manager of the Atlantic Division of CanoeKayak Canada. We're back, Andrew. Andrew, let's talk a little bit about the women's canoe. They were never in the Olympics, but now I understand they are.
Yeah.
And we have some great women canoeists and some good prospects right here on this lake.
We do, yeah. We're really, really excited about the women's canoe. So it's officially on the program for 2020 in Tokyo. And without being boastful, Canada's gold
We can be boastful.
I will be. But Canada's gold medal threats across any sport, 2 of the leading opportunities for us to win a gold medal for Canada are right there within the women's canoe program. So Laurence Vincent Lapointe from Quebec and Katie Vincent from the Mississauga area are both training here, and they're exceptional paddlers, and they're followed by an amazing team. And their home base for training is right here on Lake Banook.
Yeah. So let's talk about this training center. What happens in there, Andrew?
Yeah, so
You said it's their training center.
Yeah.
I know the water, but I mean they have.
Yeah, so we're really fortunate. The center is a legacy from the 2009 World Championships, and it's got an exceptional weight room and has some other facilities, a boardroom now. The staff is located there, but we also play home base for some of these teams. So for the women's canoe, they'll come here, they can do practices here, they can train in the weight facility, they can do their team meetings, and it gives them kind of a central base point to run their training. So their national team coach, Jan Crook, is based here as well, and he oversees that program.
Well, that's great. And
Yeah.
and I know at one time the kayak, it was the home of the kayak paddlers here too, but you say that they're no longer here.
Well, they are in the Halifax area. So our women's kayak, one of the great things about our sport is we have a lot of different regions through the country, but we've been exceptional. So 40% of all the paddlers in Canada are right
look
here
at
in Nova
the clubs
Scotia.
we have, you know.
Yeah.
The 3 great clubs here who've been here for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And down in Porter's Lake
Yeah,
and out at Kearney Lake
yeah,
and
Waverly as well.
Yeah, Waverly,
Yeah.
Chima.
yeah.
So where could you go
Yeah.
and find that many clubs?
And you alluded to it earlier, Gloria. I mean, you're one of them in terms of a volunteer and advocate for the sport, but that grassroots of those clubs has given us the foundation to be able to host these events, to be able to invest in the sport. And it starts with the people, and we've got a knowledgeable fan base, and we've got people that are ready to pull up their sleeves.
And you know, it hasn't been easy keeping these clubs going.
No.
It costs a lot of money, and they work hard to do that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and it hasn't been an easy thing. Now, you're bringing the Indigenous Games here. You're bringing the world here.
Yeah.
And of course the Pan Am. And to get any of these championships, you have to make a pitch that this is the best place to hold them.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. You were involved in the pitch for the Indigenous.
Yeah, I was really honored to be asked to join the final pitch team for the North American Indigenous Games, and it was a really amazing experience. So there was a site evaluation crew that came here, and Lake Banook is one of the most picturesque settings. I mean, biased, but it's one of the greatest spots.
Look around.
Yeah, look around. So we had the team here. They evaluated the course. I spoke to the history of Mi'kmaq paddlers being on here for thousands of years, and how the activity point is so important to even just the way of life in Dartmouth and beyond. So it was a really great opportunity to connect with them, and we went up and we had a real team effort to do a final pitch to the final council that would decide. And it was one of these things where we pitched at, I think it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the final decision came at 5.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Didn't take them long to decide. You must have done a great job, Andrew.
yeah, it was great. There was about 15 of us, and it was a whole host of, I spoke to the sport and my experience as an elite athlete and what we could offer for paddling, one of the 15 sports, but there was kind of the traditional cultural impact that it would have on our Mi'kmaq youth and beyond, and also all the infrastructure pieces, the city, province, and so forth. So the mayor was there, and it was an awesome experience.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
So they're coming from where for the Indigenous?
So for the Indigenous Games, there'd be, I believe it's 26 teams from the U.S. and Canada.
Oh, they're coming from the U.S.
Yeah, and it was previously held in Toronto, and this will be in 2020, as I mentioned, and there'll be upwards of 6,000 athletes. Yeah,
Isn't that wonderful?
It's a really incredible contingent of athletes that will be here, and like I said, there's 15 different sports. There'll be a lot of spectacle on the culture, the music, and that kind of side as well.
I was going to say the culture and the music would play a big role.
Yeah, it'll be really.
That's really exciting.
For sure, yeah.
And I bet it'll be quite a sight on the lake.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Yeah, so the paddlers will race in, I believe it's 3 different classes. I go through the technical book, but U14, 16, and 19, in singles and doubles, over 1,000, 3,000, and 5,000 meters, and be some impressive athletes out here.
Are there any clubs that are just consist of Indigenous?
There was a club in
Paddlers?
Millbrook, and
In Millbrook, was
yeah,
there? Oh.
and we're making efforts to support any kind of uptake of that where possible. When we were speaking earlier, you alluded to it, the connection and the cultural importance of canoe sport is huge. So, there's a natural just pull towards it. So we
Right.
want to help make that happen. That's one of my big mandates over the next several years.
But we couldn't have a team ready for the Indigenous, could we?
We will.
Oh, will we? Great.
Yeah, I would say we will have a team
Oh,
ready.
isn't that great?
And all the stakeholders are invested in that coming to life.
So where do they paddle now, the Millbrook team?
So there's a bunch of different athletes from all around the province, and right now what we're looking at doing is joint camps to bring some kind of competitive side coaching as well as with local coaches to connect, have athletes come out and try it, and then hopefully ramp up towards trials and then selections of teams for 2020.
Oh, isn't that great?
Yeah.
That's really exciting. And
Yeah.
I can just see the shoreline over there lined up with all the different things that will happen, and we get weather like we have today. It will be a miraculous,
For sure.
miraculous sight. So that must be exciting for you
Definitely.
to know that you're really heavily involved in that.
Yeah, it's definitely on a professional but also on a personal note. It's something I feel pretty strongly about, so I'm really excited to be included.
Well, Andrew, we have to take a break again. You're watching Destination Dartmouth, and my guest is Andrew Russell, General Manager of Atlantic Division of the CanoeKayak Canada. Back again, Andrew. Andrew, when you were making your pitch to bring the Pan Am or the Worlds here, did you talk anything about the history of this lake?
Yeah, actually, so I wasn't part of the final pitch team, but our co-chairs, Chris Keevil and L.A. Dempster, I think they did an excellent job of pulling in the history of the lake. And you would know it, I'm sure, better than me, but canoe sport's been here, and canoe as a means of travel has been here for 4,000 years plus.
Oh, yeah.
And Mi'kmaq paddlers used to have summer homes and settlements down towards the Halifax Harbor, and then through the winter and colder seasons would travel inland the hundreds of kilometers by canoe. So it's the very fabric of this lake and this channel system all the way through is...
And they used to help. You see the flume down there now. They used to haul the boats up from the harbor.
Yeah.
Who came up through? These boats came up through here.
Yeah, and the canoes for the ocean they had were 15 and 20 feet long, and the historic renderings of them are amazing to see what they were and imagine what...
And what they could do with them.
Exactly, yeah. So in this pitch, I mean, we consider this, one of these birthplaces of canoe where it's, as old as time, really,
Right.
like in terms of the people that have been here and why it's so significant to where we are. And then in the more recent history, as we've transitioned towards, competitive sport and the clubs, Banook's been here since 1903, and
Right.
I've been a lifelong member, but not far behind them are Micmac and Sonobe, and it's just something that's really rooted here. So touching on all these clubs allows to show the history and the importance to the region, but also we can speak to the people that are invested in the sport and how much it means to people and how easy it is to pull 500-600 volunteers
Right.
out of the woodwork to, pitch in all the way through.
The year when I was mayor and the Queen came,
Yes.
we had war canoe race in the harbor for her, and that was very exciting.
Yeah.
Something that I'm sure she'd never seen before. Andrew, now you just became general manager in March, and there you are, general manager and all these big events coming up. How are you handling that?
I'm lucky this stage in the game that we have an amazing team here at the Atlantic Division, and there's also just such a pool of knowledge. So the chairs that I mentioned, Chris and LA, have been fantastic to work with, and Barry Ring and the members of the division have been really strong, and so far so good. I think things are really coming together, and all the levels of government have been really on board to see this come to life, and our private citizens as well are getting involved in businesses. So so far so good.
I just want to say one thing. When I hope announcements are made that they're done in Dartmouth, this is where the paddling is taking place, although they sometimes like to refer to as Halifax. Halifax could never have anything like this.
Yeah, well, there'll be lots of announcements in
So
Dartmouth,
Andrew,
I promise.
do you stay awake at nights now thinking about all of this?
Not yet. I'm sure I will. And there'll be things that come up or time zone differences that keep me up. But so far, I really do like going back to the team.
It's great to have a good team, Andrew.
You're so
You
right.
wouldn't be able to do it without a good team.
No, it's impossible.
And we've done so well when we brought the Worlds here.
For
They
sure.
were so successful, and everybody seemed happy. And when I went to Moscow to the Worlds, it was very cold, and you couldn't go into the stands unless they searched your bags.
Uh-huh.
And very, very different. And here it's so warm and so friendly, and everything is well organized.
Yeah, I mean, we're really lucky that way. I want to look over in 2022 and see, over those 5 days, 100,000 people that have passed through Prince Albert and through the stands and
Yeah,
have
I
been
hope
part
so.
of that festival
I hope
experience.
so.
That's my dream. For sure.
Because if they don't, they're missing out on a great thing.
Yeah,
Because it's so exciting. All the paddling is exciting, but when you see 8 war canoes coming down the lake,
yeah,
I remember going to Center Island, and the war canoes were coming down, and the head of the war canoes were 2 ducks keeping ahead of them. Yeah, so it's all so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about the Pan Am, and that's in September. And
Yeah.
next year, the Nationals?
So in 2019 is kind of almost a down year. So every summer there's
Oh, there's
We'll call it a down year.
Well, that's good.
We'll still probably have a national team trials, and there's 30 or 32 in that range local regattas that take place every summer.
Oh yeah, it's always busy.
So
with that.
there's lots on the go, but
Yeah.
for major international events, we have a 1 year
Well,
off.
that's good. I'm glad you have 1 year, because it's the next year for the national and then the indigenous.
Yeah. So 2020, 2021, and in terms of the audience, there's that kind of hockey curve spike. So
But the other thing to come to watch this, it doesn't cost you anything.
yeah,
The lake is situated in an area where you can stand anywhere.
yeah,
Up on the hill, along the lakefront, and it doesn't cost you. I don't think you have to pay in any of them. I mean, I've been
No.
in Germany, and
there'll be some VIP seating or something like
Yeah,
that. But
sure.
our goal is that we maintain, the foundation that's being laid before us. It's, a family atmosphere. It's an opportunity to bring your kids down, bring people that have been touched by the sport in the past, or maybe those that are just wanting to come down and see
find
what
out
it's all
something
about.
it.
Yeah.
To get the kids involved maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them start very young, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
How old were you, Andrew?
I was probably running around 3 or 4 years old when I was younger here at Banook. Yeah.
Were you in a boat then?
Probably being paddled around by some older kid. Yeah. I have vague memories of being thrown in the back of boats. Yeah.
The war canoe,
Yeah.
a fill-in.
Yeah. 8th or 9th on the right when you're supposed to have 7 paddlers, right?
I know. And you chose the canoe over the kayak.
Yeah.
Why was that?
Good question. I mean, I did both when I was really young, and I guess I just gravitated to that. My dad had done some of it. My older brother was doing that.
Yeah,
I looked up to them, and it just something I enjoyed right away.
Well, look, Andrew, we're coming to the end of our interview. And I want to thank you so much. It's been so nice to be out here in this beautiful lake and for you to tell us about all the exciting things that are going to happen. And I know, Andrew, that you will do a great job.
Well, I appreciate
Because
that.
you have that paddling background, and you're going to have a lot of great people along with you. So I can hardly wait.
Thank you very
So
much.
thanks so much, Andrew.
Thank you.
You've been watching Destination Dartmouth, and my guest has been Andrew Russell, General Manager of the Atlantic Division of CanoeKayak Canada. See you soon.